Hey everybody, think like a free man. I got the glasses on, which means we are doing some range time. So what I've got here on my left is the Daniel Defense M4V11 Pro with a Vortex Strike Eagle 1x6 scope mounted on it. We're going to do some basic accuracy tests and some basic tactical tests. I'm going to tell you some things I like about both, some things I dislike. They're obviously both really good products, but they're not perfect. So we'll see how we do. And we'll finish up with some comments. The ammunition I'm using for the 50 and the 25-yard tests are this Federal M193 ball. And the ammunition that I use to reach out to 100 yards is this Freedom Munitions remanufactured 55 grain VMAX. The tests that we're going to do with this rig are we're going to zero it at 50 yards with the M193 Federal ball ammo, and then we're going to do two accuracy tests. One is a rapid fire target transition drill at 25 yards, where we're essentially going to go through about 19-20 rounds at 3 different targets at 25 yards. Then we're going to transition to a prone position and shoot the Federal VMAX 55 grain remanufactured at 100 yards just to kind of see what kind of accuracy we get. Okay, for 50 yard zero, that's pretty good. So to get it zeroed in, this is a target from 50 yards, and this was my first group up here, and it was a little high, which was fine because that was my first group of just staring down the bore and trying to match it up. I adjusted the elevation a little bit and came up with this group, and that's about about 5/8 inches at 50 yards. So with just old ball ammo, that's less than 1.5 inch MOA. Not too bad. We're going to put the better ammunition in, and we're going to go to 100. Now it's going to be hitting a little high at 100, of course, because I did the 50 yard zero. And let's see how we do. Okay, we're out at 100 yards. I've got the Freedom Munitions 55 grain VMAX remanufactured in 223 going through this right now. Let's see how it does. This is the 100-yard target that I used the Freedom Munitions ammunition on. These first 3 shots were from the zeroing process. After I zeroed it in at 50, I wanted to make sure I was close at 100 with that ammunition. And if you look at it, we're about 1 3/8 inches, and I may have pulled it a little bit, or my eyes didn't quite get the resolution. So we're almost an MOA of accuracy, and I'm pretty happy with that. This is the target on the right at 25 yards, and you'll see some circles here. These were shots from previous firing sequences that aren't in this video. But I fired 4 shots at this target in rapid succession, 2 groups. There's 1, 2, 3 hits. Looks like I pulled one of the shots off. This is the left target that was at 25 yards. I fired 2 sequences of 2 shots each. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. So that one worked pretty good. Here's the middle target where I did a couple shot sequences and then just dumped the rest of the mag. A little confusing here because I was using these in previous firing sequences that are not in the video. But it looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I think I did fire 11 shots at this target. So of all 3 targets at the 25 yard in the transition drill, it looks like I only missed 1 shot. Not too bad. The next 5 shots were from the 100-yard prone firing sequence. And I was bouncing around there and my heart rate was up. So I'm actually pretty happy with this. That this is about from 5. It's almost a 5-inch group there at 100 yards under a little bit of pressure. Again, not too bad. One of the things I did notice, and I think you can see it from the video, is there were some clumsy moves. There, one of the shells kind of landed on my arm, and it was kind of burning me, so I had to stop. And I should have flicked it on the gun on safety, which I didn't. That's why you have to train. You got to get rid of those clumsy moves. It's all got to be second nature without thinking. So I do need to train a little bit more, and that's one of the things the videos show. And fortunately, I'm happy to train more. I'll go through things that I like about this setup and I don't like. In particular, the Daniel Defense V11 Pro and the Strike Eagle. Overall, these are excellent products. I'd buy them again and I'm happy with them. But there are a few things that I would say are clear hits and then that are clear misses with each product. I'll start with the rifle. Starting on the stock, I really like this. It's almost like a SOP mod stock. It's a little thinner with a rubberized material here. The grip has the same rubberized material and you can get a really good handle on it. When I was sighting this in, the stock slipped a couple times. I'd never had that problem before. Didn't show up in the rest of the day, but you'll see that on the video, or you may notice it on the video. I'm not going to say that's a problem. I think this is still a great stock. Other thing I like is the Geisley trigger. Very crisp, very clean, light touch, but not too light. Really easy to get shots off. Like the BCM charging handle, which this rifle came with. I probably won't have another AR without that handle there. Moving forward, I really like the 18-inch stock, or excuse me, the 18-inch barrel. You might get a little bit extra muzzle velocity, maybe a little extra accuracy. Things I don't like. I do not like this handguard in particular. It's not that I don't like Keymod rail, but the way this Daniel Defense rail is, you can get your fingers in these areas where the barrel's hot. Even with gloves on, you can either melt the glove and burn your finger, and I'm hoping that shows up, how you can get your fingers in there. The Keymod rail I have on the my BCM Recce, you can't get your fingers into the barrel. So I'd say this was a miss on the part of Daniel Defense. The other thing I would also say too, and I'm not sure if it's the muzzle compensator or if it's just the whole rifle setup, I didn't find this rifle as controllable as my BCM Recce when I'm doing rapid fire sequences. It's not bad. I still like it. In fact, I love this rifle, but it's just a bit of a shortcoming I noticed, and it may just be me or the way I shoot, or I'm doing something wrong. So that's the rifle, and I'm not going to cover all the features of the rifle. There's detailed reviews out there that you can get all the nuances of what materials are being used and the coatings and what the bolt carrier is made out of. But I'm just highlighting the things that I think stood out one way or the other. On that note, I'm going to move to the scope, this Vortex Strike Eagle 1x6. Love the scope, especially the fact that it was only about $300. And when you're in one power mode, you're getting essentially kind of red dot performance. the illumination on it is such that it washes out in broad daylight, but the reticle is big enough that and clear enough that it really wasn't a problem to use it in CQB mode. Probably still a little slower than a true red dot, and you don't quite get the visibility of a true red dot, but given the fact that you can go have the flexibility to go up to 6 power on this, I think it's a worthwhile sacrifice, and this is still pretty quick. On the magnification piece of it, you know, once that's 6x, I think it's a really clear scope. There's a little fuzziness around the scope when you're looking through it at 6 power, but it's barely noticeable. So very clear, very good for the money. I don't know that I've come across a better scope than this for $300. Also too, I like the scope caps. You can get very fine adjustment on these, and you can screw these back on so the scope adjustments are protected and you don't accidentally bump your zero. Overall, great rifle, great scope. I love these two in combination, especially with that long barrel to reach out to longer distances and still be able to function quickly at short distances. No regrets with this setup whatsoever. Hope you enjoyed this and found it useful. If you have any questions, just put something down in the comments. And till next time, always remember, think like a free man.